You know, every single conversation we have, whether it's in a classroom or a courtroom, is built on a kind of invisible architecture. And today, we're going to uncover that very structure. We'll be drawing from a multimodal collection curated by Luis Peralta to reveal the blueprint of how we all interact.
So let's start with this powerful idea right here. Our language isn't just for describing things, it's actually generative. With every single word we say, we are actively constructing the social worlds that we live in.
To really get our heads around this, we're going to use an architectural metaphor. We'll break down conversation into 3 distinct layers. We'll start big, with the whole building, and then zoom all the way into the tiny details of how we position ourselves inside it.
Okay, let's begin with that outermost layer, the container that holds the entire interaction. This is what linguists and sociologists of language call the speech event.
So think of the speech event as the building itself, a courtroom trial, a lesson in a classroom, a doctor's appointment, or even a dinner party. Each one is its own distinct social event with its own blueprint, right? It has its own set of expectations and rules for how to participate.
Now, the courtroom is just a perfect archetypal example of a speech event. And that's because all of its structural parts are so explicit and so clearly defined. You know exactly what's supposed to happen there.
And these 4 elements, the setting, the participants, the ends, and the norms, they make up the foundational structure for the entire encounter. They're basically the walls and the foundation of our conversational building.
Now, inside the bigger structure of any speech event, the interaction isn't just one big open space. We're constantly moving between different cognitive rooms, or what sociolinguists call interactional frames.
A frame is really our shared, unspoken answer to the question, okay, what are we all doing right now? And we're constantly negotiating this understanding through all these subtle conversational cues.
Isolde Carranza's amazing work in classrooms shows this perfectly. She saw students moving seamlessly between an official frame, the task-oriented world of doing school, and an unofficial frame, which is that informal life world of gossiping, teasing, and just socializing with their friends.
So how does that even work? How are these invisible shifts between frames managed in a conversation? How do you signal a move from the classroom activity to the hallway activity without ever actually leaving your seat?
Well, one of the most powerful ways to do this, especially in multilingual settings, is through code choice. Switching from Spanish to English, for example, that's not just about translation. As Carranza's work shows, it's a social act. It signals which world, which interactional frame you're operating in now. It's like flipping a master switch. And now we zoom in to the most granular level, how we as individuals position ourselves within those rooms. The great sociologist Irving Goffman called this concept footing.
So what's crucial here is that footing is all about the social stance, or the alignment we take up in relation to our words and our audience. For instance, are you the actual author of what you're saying, or are you just the animator, the one speaking the words? Are you speaking as a professional right now, or as a friend? That's footing.
And this concept is just brilliantly illustrated right here. We have a judge who at first makes this private logistical comment to a police officer about a door being closed. It's a total aside.
But then, with the single discourse marker bueno, which acts like a bracket, he instantly shifts his footing. He goes from being a private speaker in a logistical frame, talking to the officer, to suddenly being the presiding judge in a formal institutional frame addressing the witness. It's a complete change in social alignment, and the whole thing hinges on just one word.
Okay, so let's put all 3 of these layers together now. Let's analyze the complex architecture behind a really simple exchange and see how these shifts can all happen at the same time.
So in this exchange, the line, "That's a deal," establishes a very professional footing within a business frame. But then the little discourse marker, "so," signals a complete change of gears. It kicks off a frame shift to a personal topic, a footing shift from negotiator to a peer, and it sets up the next speech act, which is an invitation.
So after mapping all this out, you might be asking, why does understanding this intricate, often invisible architecture really matter, especially for professionals like teachers and translators?
Well, if you're an educator, recognizing these frame shifts is absolutely key to managing classroom dynamics. And for all the translators and interpreters, this is the real challenge, right? It's about capturing that nuanced social meaning, that footing that exists way beyond a literal translation. These tiny little markers, they aren't just filler. They are the actual hinges that open and close the doors between our social worlds.
So the next time you're talking to someone, just think about the incredible invisible work you're doing, the social reality you're constructing, the frames you're shifting between, and the footings you're adopting. You are, in every sense, the architect of your own interaction.